I ever asked God for was to let me eat. Let me sit at the table with the big boys.
How you gonna believe in the Lord? You a sissy. And you marching in all like this here.
That's what all I can say is what Bernie told me. And he was upset with Steve because he said Steve tried to get him taken off for the Oceans movie he did.
Oceans 11?
Yeah, and tried to vie for his part after he already got hired.
Bernie Mac truly hated him more than anyone else in Hollywood. A seething resentment that destroyed friendships and buried what could have been comedy's greatest empire.
You know you're a black press on charcoal.
While audiences laughed at his jokes, Bernie Mac was fighting a silent war against one of entertainment's biggest stars. A rivalry so explosive, it shattered the kings of comedy and killed a multi-million-dollar tour before it even began.
Well, it's like we was together, we were all excited, and the next day it didn't happen. And essentially, Bernie, felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. He was on his own path, and Steve, so...
The public never knew the full story, how this bitter feud affected movie roles, TV deals, and Bernie's health. But what started as professional jealousy evolved into something far more sinister.
Steve called the producers to try to get his role and even wanted to take less money, and the producers told Steve no. That's what Bernie told Ed Lover.
Let's uncover how Bernie Mac's warnings about Hollywood's twisted underbelly made him powerful enemies, and why some believe he paid the ultimate price for refusing to play by their rules. Bernie Mac never had it easy. Born Bernard Jeffrey McCullough on October 5, 1957, in Chicago's South Side, he grew up in a tough neighborhood with his single mom, Mary, doing her best to raise him and his siblings.
There was a lot of people in this house. At one point, it might have been 10 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. That's a lot of people.
Even as a kid, Bernie knew how to make people laugh. His first show happened when he was just 8 years old, at a church dinner. He stood up and did hilarious impressions of his grandparents, including his grandfather, who was a deacon at their Baptist church. The crowd ate it up, and Bernie got his first taste of making people happy through comedy.
My grandfather was a deacon of the church. He was go to work, pray.
But life hit Bernie hard. At just 16, he lost his mom to cancer, a blow that would crush any teenager. Then, like dominoes falling, he lost his older brother, his estranged father, and his grandmother, all within a short time. The kid who made everyone laugh was suddenly surrounded by grief.
She would tell us, "I'm gonna whip you. I'm gonna get you." We would go all day. And you like, oh, it's bedtime now, no whooping. Soon as you get ready to doze off, here she comes.
I came from a place where there wasn't a lot of joy, Mac said, according to 19 News. I decided to try to make other people laugh when there wasn't a lot of things to laugh about. Watching his mother battle breast cancer left deep scars on young Bernie. In a raw interview with Howard Stern years later, Bernie shared a memory that haunted him. He came home one day, pumped up after hitting a home run in baseball, only to walk in on his mother, partially undressed. That's when he saw it. A massive scar across her chest from a mastectomy. In that moment, the happy-go-lucky kid realized his mom was fighting for her life. His mother tried shielding him from the harsh reality. "Close the door and don't ask questions," she told him. Confused and scared, Bernie went to his grandmother for answers, but she just sent him back to his mom. The truth remained unspoken, leaving young Bernie terrified and alone. Before she died, Bernie's mom wrote a 10-page letter to his aunt with instructions on how to take care of her son. In those pages, she predicted Bernie would find the strength to survive without her, a mother who knew her son's resilience even when he couldn't see it himself.
I tell you why Andy Griffith is my favorite, because he was so secure. I love security.
Before becoming famous in Hollywood, Bernie Mac faced a tough journey filled with hard work and sacrifices. He was a family man who did everything he could to support his loved ones while chasing his dream of making people laugh. Bernie took on all kinds of odd jobs to make ends meet, from cleaning as a janitor to cooking and even moving furniture. All of this helped him survive financially, while he worked toward his ultimate goal of becoming a successful comedian. Little did he know, his journey to success would come with a lot of challenges. In 1992, Bernie Mac's career took a major turn when he appeared on HBO's Def Comedy Jam. This popular show helped him reach a bigger audience, finally putting him in the spotlight. After his success on Def Comedy Jam, Bernie Mac started getting small roles in movies like Mo Money in 1992 and Friday in 1995. These roles helped him learn more about acting, though he was still waiting for his big break in Hollywood. Eventually, he got the chance to host his own HBO show, Midnight Mac, where his style and humor really shined. Later, he joined famous comedians like Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hewley in Spike Lee's film The Original Kings of Comedy. This project showed the world Bernie Mac's one-of-a-kind humor and cemented his place in the world of comedy.
In for a treat. I got this lovely young lady coming up. She's no bigger than a minute. We got $1 million voice. You're gonna be entertained tonight. She's from Memphis, Tennessee, but she lives here. Please give a warm applause for one of my favorite Melvia Chick Rogers.
If you were around in the early 2000s, you probably remember the Original Kings of Comedy tour. This comedy tour was legendary. 4 comedians, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hewley, Cedric the Entertainer, and Bernie Mac, hit the road, making people laugh all over America. In a 2018 interview with Vlad TV, comedian D.L. Hewley opened up about the drama that stopped the second Kings of Comedy tour from happening. Fans were hoping for a sequel to the popular comedy tour, but things didn't go as planned. Hewley revealed that a big reason for the cancellation was a feud between 2 of the stars, Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey. According to Hewley, they didn't see eye to eye, and that tension got in the way of working together. Hewley remembered being on a golf course where they talked about bringing the tour back, but just a day later, it all fell apart. Bernie's decision to walk away put an end to their plans.
Because the word motherfucker is a noun. It describes a person, place, or thing.
Hewley said that part of the problem was that the networks were giving Steve Harvey a lot more attention than Bernie Mac. Steve Harvey was getting more TV opportunities, which may have caused some tension. Later, Bernie started getting more recognition for his talent. Once he was getting the respect he deserved, he decided to go his own way.
You remember how the Lakers had Chris Paul for a second, and then the next day they did? That's how it was. Like, we was together, we were all excited, and the next day it didn't happen.
Each comedian had his own style. Steve Harvey, known as the smooth talker, liked to pick on audience members in the front row, often joking about their clothes, hair, or jobs. This playful roasting made him stand out and kept the crowd laughing. Bernie Mac had a very different style, though. His comedy was harder and often got into some of the tough realities of life. Rumors say Steve Harvey may have felt a bit jealous of Bernie Mac's style. This little tension is said to have sparked a rivalry between the two. Meanwhile, Cedric the Entertainer seems to have confirmed Hewley's claims. I mean, they were the kind of guys that they are both alpha males. Like they just saw it different. You know what I'm saying? Cedric admitted on Shannon Sharpe's sensational podcast, Club Shay Shay. His words cast a shadow on Mac's potential, implying that his clash with Harvey might have hindered his trajectory had he been alive today. Cedric further suggested that the feud's aftermath prevented another lucrative tour from materializing. I think, of course, that was, definitely a contributing circumstance. But I also think that it had a lot to do with the promoter on the thing because He got a bigger head than all of us. He divulged. The insinuation that personal egos and backstage politics tainted the camaraderie adds an intriguing layer to this tale of Hollywood's power dynamics. Another person who confirmed that Bernie and Steve weren't on good terms is Ed Lover. The legendary DJ dropped an episode of his Come On Son podcast, where he backed up Williams' story that the comedian shared on the latest episode of the Club Shay Shay podcast.
That's what all I can say is what Bernie told me. And he was upset with Steve because he said Steve tried to get him taken off of the Oceans movie he did.
Ocean's 11?
Yeah, and tried to vie for his part after he already got hired.
After explaining that he'd been a friend of Bernie Mac's until the day he died, Ed Lover continued. The stuff that Katt Williams said about Steve Harvey calling to try to get Bernie's role on Ocean's 11 and that kind of stuff, Bernie told me out of his own mouth. I believe Bernie Mac when he said Steve Harvey hated on him, he concluded. But the story doesn't end there. In a 2003 interview with GQ magazine, Mac didn't mince his words, accusing Harvey of harboring jealousy and actively undermining his pursuit of coveted movie roles. Harvey would later respond in a 2010 interview, revealing his hurt over Mac's accusations. I was upset at first because it just wasn't true. Me and Bernie had a lot of good times together, and then this article in GQ came out and put all this vicious stuff in there. B said he never said. I had to take him at his word for it. Harvey confessed. The story behind the Bernie Mac show was full of ups and downs, especially when it came to creative differences with the network. Bernie Mac always had a clear vision for the show. He wanted it to reflect the humor and authenticity of his stand-up routines. However, network executives at Fox sometimes had different ideas about what they wanted the show to look like, leading to clashes about the show's direction and tone.
What I'm saying is, I can pimp this ride.
Yeah, pimp it. Pimp it out.
Larry Wilmore, who created the show, knew Bernie Mac was the perfect fit. Larry had been impressed by Bernie's performance in the original Kings of Comedy, where Bernie did a memorable bit about caring for his sister's kids. This story idea inspired Larry, and he knew it would make a good foundation for a show. Larry thought if they focused on Bernie's character taking care of his sister's kids, it would bring heart and humor to the story. He felt that the emotional side of this setup would help audiences connect with Bernie on a deeper level.
I thought you had to go home.
Don't you worry about that. You focus on your A-.
When the Bernie Mac show first aired on Fox in November 2001, it quickly gained attention. Viewers loved the way Bernie broke the fourth wall, speaking directly to the audience, as if he were letting them in on his private thoughts. This unique style helped make the show popular. The show's first season averaged 9.5 million viewers, a strong start. It even won an Emmy for writing and a Peabody Award, which celebrates excellence in storytelling. But despite these successes, Fox still didn't seem fully satisfied with the show. In its second season, The Bernie Mac Show was put in a challenging time slot, directly competing with ABC's popular sitcom My Wife and Kids, which starred Damon Wayans. Though Bernie's show had good ratings, My Wife and Kids often had even more viewers.
Dogs' mouths are cleaner than human mouths.
Yeah, let me lick my butt, then kiss you.
This head-to-head competition created pressure, and the Bernie Mac Show often struggled to pull in as many viewers as My Wife and Kids, though it still had a loyal fan base and improved its ratings in its second season.
Bernie was so raw in the clubs. If you were a watered-down version of Bernie on TV, it just wasn't going to work because people didn't want to see that.
In an interview, he remembered that after they won the Emmy, a Fox executive even said, "Well, I guess now we can't fire him." Max had disagreements with network executives over the show's content and direction. Bernie was very protective of his style, which led to some clashes with the producers. Larry Wilmore also had issues with the network from the start, especially when they started to interfere with his ideas for the show.
And one of the ways you were pivotal is being able not to change him, but to present him in a way that worked for him, and then he took off.
The relationship between Bernie and Larry began to fall apart in the middle of the second season. Larry mentioned in interviews that he felt the network tried to come between him and Bernie. He even wondered if Bernie's personal struggles or feelings about the show's ownership played a role in their conflicts. Larry thought Bernie may have felt that his own ideas were being taken away. Larry was eventually fired from the show in the middle of the second season. Fox executives felt the show wasn't getting enough laughs, and they often gave Larry notes on how to change things. One major disagreement happened when Bernie's character spanked Jordan, his nephew, in the drugstore in the very first episode. Larry ignored the network's complaint, saying that in black families, spanking kids is common. This comment did not sit well with the executives, and it was one of many disagreements. After Larry left, Fox changed the show's time slot, which helped it get more viewers. The Bernie Mac show would last for another 3 years on Fox, but the ratings would continue to decline due to the constant shuffling of the show's time slot. First, it was on Wednesdays, and they moved the show to Sundays, then Mondays, and back to Wednesdays before finally settling on Fridays. Fans found it hard to keep up. The final season of the show averaged 3.6 million viewers. Despite the show's low ratings, the show won 3 consecutive NAACP Image Awards for Outstanding Comedy Series. Bernie himself would take home 4 straight NAACP Awards for Outstanding Actor in a Comedy Series. The series aired its final episode on April 14th, 2006.
See, that's what y'all doing good. Money. The fame come before. I'm still. These suits, I gotta take back.
Bernie Mac wasn't your typical Hollywood comedian. He wasn't afraid to share his thoughts about the entertainment industry. Throughout his career, he spoke up about how hard it was for black comedians to get fair opportunities in Hollywood. Bernie believed the industry often ignored black talent, or used it without giving it the same level of respect or recognition as it gave to others. For him, this was not just unfair, but deeply frustrating. Bernie was also very open about feeling underappreciated. While other comedians rose quickly to fame and fortune, Bernie had to work extra hard to get to the same level. And even then, he felt Hollywood didn't fully understand or value him. He often said things that ruffled feathers, but he didn't care. He felt it was important to tell the truth. He wanted to warn young comedians about the traps of Hollywood, about how fame could be dangerous and damaging if you weren't careful.
Sitting and talking, and then we got in the limo, and he said, "Look here, man, I see you're coming up, you're doing your thing, but I tell you, you got to be original, you got to do your thing, but don't rush off to LA." He said, "Conquer your city first, then come to LA," because a lot of cats come out to LA too soon, and they end up being a small fish in a big pond. And he said, and some of them end up broke or suck.
Long before he became a big star, Bernie Mac was already warning young comedians about the dark side of fame. He told them Hollywood wasn't all glamour. Behind the glitzy surface, he saw many hidden problems. Bernie often pointed out the pressures put on entertainers, especially black entertainers, to act in certain ways or to follow industry trends, even when those trends felt wrong. Bernie called Hollywood's need to control people twisted. He didn't like the way actors and comedians were sometimes treated like puppets on strings, forced to follow the rules or be left out. One of the things Bernie was vocal about was the suck-up culture in Hollywood. In a well-known interview, he talked about how entertainers were often expected to flatter powerful people or to act like they agreed with everything, even if they didn't. Bernie hated this attitude. He believed people should stand by their values instead of pretending to be something they're not, just to fit in.
They came to me. I was supposed to be the fourth king. I got the offer. Then what happened? But I turned it down.
Why?
Because you Bernie.
Katt Williams, another comedian and close friend of Bernie Mac, has often talked about Bernie's warnings. According to Katt, Bernie wasn't a fan of Hollywood's secretive gatherings and exclusive parties. He didn't like how these parties often felt strange, even manipulative, and how some entertainers would leave feeling uncomfortable about what they had done or seen. Bernie believed these parties were part of Hollywood's way of controlling and confusing people, making them question their values.
And I know the truth. You think I'm gonna let you Bernie and then come get me? I'm the next king?
Katt Williams believes Bernie's honesty about Hollywood's secrets put him in a tough position. Hollywood doesn't like it when people call out its hidden practices. Bernie's willingness to speak up about the industry's ugly side made him unpopular among some powerful people. And yet, Bernie refused to stay silent. He felt that young comedians and actors needed to know the truth about what they were getting into, even if it cost him. Katt Williams, who looked up to Bernie Mac as a mentor, has spoken about his own battles with Hollywood. He has faced similar pressures and has also been vocal about the strange and sometimes harmful practices in the industry. Katt believes that Hollywood doesn't like people who refuse to play by its rules, and Bernie was one of those people. Despite the risks, Bernie didn't back down. He stayed true to himself, even when it meant he was treated differently. Bernie Mac paid a price for his honesty. As he got older, he faced more challenges in Hollywood. He wasn't just dealing with the typical stresses of fame. He was also dealing with the pressures from people who didn't like his truth-telling. There were times when Bernie was overworked to the point of exhaustion. Even when he was clearly unwell, he was often pushed to keep performing, to keep working, as if his health didn't matter. His daughter later confirmed that Hollywood didn't seem to care about his well-being. They just wanted him to keep entertaining, no matter the cost. Bernie's health struggles became more visible during his last years. He was visibly sick at times, yet the industry kept pushing him to perform. This wasn't just fame, it was exploitation. During the final years of his illustrious career, Bernie Mac confronted not just the demands of showbiz, but also a hidden battle with severe sarcoidosis, a perplexing ailment characterized by inflammation in the body's tissues. This revelation marked a poignant turning point in the life of the beloved comedian, as he grappled with the relentless challenges posed by his health while striving to continue his remarkable journey in the world of entertainment. On March 19, 2007, during an appearance on the CBS Late Show with David Letterman, Bernie Mac made an announcement that would reverberate throughout the entertainment industry. With candor and a hint of resignation, he shared his decision to retire from the career that had spanned 3 decades. He expressed his desire to savor life outside the spotlight, revealing how he yearned to relish the simple joys he had missed along the way. "I'm going to still do my producing, my films," Mac told Letterman, "but I want to enjoy my life a little bit." In his heartfelt conversation with Letterman, Bernie Mac reflected on his early days as a street performer, recalling a time when he was just a struggling artist honing his craft. "I missed a lot of things, you know," he confided to Letterman. "I was a street performer for 2 years. I went into clubs in 1977 and was on the road 47 weeks out of the year."
Yeah, man, I'm a connoisseur of love, you know what I mean? I know how to touch. I know where they like it so much. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, it even rhymes.
In his final days, Bernie Mac fought courageously from a hospital bed, his powerful voice silenced by a ventilator as he battled for every breath. For over 2 weeks, his family remained at his bedside, witnessing his determination to survive despite overwhelming odds. His sister later shared the heartbreaking final moments between Bernie and his wife Rhonda. "He struggled for his life. He couldn't breathe," she recalled. When Rhonda called his name, he opened his eyes and nodded to her. She smiled and pleaded, "Don't leave me. I'm waiting for you to come back." He simply shrugged his shoulders. That's when she knew he was tired. He signaled that his body couldn't fight anymore. After 3 grueling weeks in intensive care, Bernie Mac suffered cardiac arrest and passed away in the early morning hours of August 9, 2008. He was just 50 years old. The following week, nearly 7,000 mourners gathered at Chicago's House of Hope Church to celebrate the man who had touched so many lives. In a bittersweet twist of fate, the very comedians who once stood divided came together to honor Bernie's memory. At a special tribute event, Steve Harvey stood alongside D.L. Hewley and Cedric the Entertainer to announce that November 14th had been officially proclaimed Bernie Mac Day in Chicago. Bernie was a Chicagoan through and through, Harvey acknowledged, his voice thick with emotion. The city of Chicago sent this proclamation recognizing Bernie's remarkable life and legacy. The auditorium at Bernie's Chicago alma mater now bears his name, a fitting tribute to a man who never forgot his roots despite reaching extraordinary heights. Though his voice was silenced too soon, Bernie Mac's truth-telling spirit and fearless comedy continue to inspire new generations of performers who refuse to compromise their values. In a world that often rewards conformity, Bernie Mac's greatest achievement wasn't just making us laugh. It was showing us how to stand tall in our truth, regardless of the consequences. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.